It is the Christmas season, and while everyone else in my family loves this time of year, I've just never been so jolly about it. But the one thing I do love about this time of year is watching Christmas horror movies. So right now, I'm about to give you my personal picks for what I consider the best holiday horror movies to watch this Christmas. So, grab a cup of hot chocolate and cozy on up by the fire, because this is the 12 Sleighs of Christmas. Actually, scratch that. Let's make it 13, because, 13 is a spookier number than 12. Right? I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? Huh? Okay. Just roll the intro. What's up, guys? Birdman here, and today we are talking Christmas horror movies. Now, like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the holidays, but the one thing that gets me in the spirit is watching Christmas horror movies. And there are an abundant array of them out there. They keep coming year after year. You can't keep up with them. There's just so many. And a lot of them, to be honest, are just plain terrible. I'm not talking about so bad it's good, but just really plain awful.
They suck.
But for every one of those, there are quite a number of really good Christmas horror movies. And I've chosen 13 recommendations that I feel are the best ones that truly encapsulate the spirit of Christmas, really get you in the mood for the holidays, and really balance out the scares and the horror along with that at the same time. So without further ado, here we go with number 13. And at number 13, we have a tie.
Hooray! A tie!
So there's two movies that I always kind of lump together because they're very similar, and sometimes I even mix them up. But I couldn't decide for this list which one I liked better, so this is what I came up with. The first one of those is Dead End from 2003, starring Ray Wise and Lin Shaye. It's about a family making the long trek to their relatives on Christmas Eve. They decide to take a shortcut, and the road they end up on is just never ending. Like, literally, it never ends. Like, just never ends.
Like never, ever, 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 ever.
All kinds of weird, creepy stuff starts happening, and they keep coming into contact with this hearse that's driving on the same road, keep driving in circles, and no matter what they do, they just can't get off this nightmare of a road. It's eerie. It takes place in one central location where they're all stuck in the car on this desolate road, so it's got that claustrophobic feel to it, and it's got a great ending. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to spoil too much. But this one is one that seems to fly under the radar a bit. Doesn't really get enough attention, in my opinion. It's probably the least Christmassy one on my list, because in terms of like imagery, there's not a lot of Christmas decorations or snow on the ground, stuff like that. But I mean, it's about a family visiting their relatives on their way to visit for Christmas, and I'm pretty sure most people have done that at least once in their life. So it definitely fits the bill.
Laura! I'm just kidding!
Now, the other film that ties for the number 13 spot is Wind Chill from 2007. Now, this is also not super Christmassy, but it does feel really cold. In fact, it makes you feel frigid watching this thing.
I should have brought my cardigan.
It stars Emily Blunt and Ashton Holmes, which, funny enough, I never really noticed after watching this a whole bunch of times over the years that they never actually say their names in the movie. So it's just girl and guy.
So creative.
Bingo bongo.
Guy posts a notice at their college looking for someone to share a ride home with on Christmas break, and girl takes him up on it. They don't exactly see eye to eye. Neither one is actually that likable of a character, at least in the beginning. Some drama unfolds, and they get stranded on this desolate road in a snowstorm. It's a ghostly tale of survival, and it's got a really cool backstory to it. Now, I've seen this thing many times over the years, and again, it's like Dead End. It's one of those that doesn't really get talked about enough, And since I couldn't decide which one I like better, number 13 is reserved for both Dead End and Wind Chill, so why not watch them together and make it a double feature. At number 12, we have a newer entry that came out in 2023 called It's a Wonderful Knife. Now this one is a horror take on It's a Wonderful Life.
Teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
So it starts out with the killer, known as the Angel, dressed up like a Christmas angel, you know, like one of the ones that you put on top of your tree, you know, one of those, or Ghostface dressed in white.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Anyway, this angel takes out some people at a party, and a young woman intervenes and discovers who's beneath the mask. Now, a year later, her life is in complete shambles, and this aurora appears up in the sky, so she wishes that she was never born.
Why would she do that?
And then she wakes up in an alternate universe where her family doesn't recognize her. It's like she never existed, which, I mean, it's kind of what she asked for.
Oh, yeah, that's about right then.
So she has to convince her family and all the townspeople, you know, what happened, and she has to kind of go back and try to change the past, even though that's not what really happened, but it's what happened now, and it's kind of really confusing to explain this. So just watch the movie.
Why do you have to make things so complicated?
It's a fun watch, and it's got tons of Christmas spirit. It's kind of like Scream meets Happy Death Day or Final Girls. Justin Long is in it doing Justin Long things. He plays like this douchey mayor with a weird accent.
Hi, I'm Henry Waters.
Catherine Isabel is also in it, and she's great from Ginger Snaps, Freddy vs. Jason. So it's got a good cast. It's a fun slasher that's perfect for Christmas time, and if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend checking it out. Next up, coming in at number 11 is in the so bad it's good category. It's Jack Frost. Now, there's a lot of films out there called Jack Frost. This is not the Michael Keaton family film. Nope, this is from 1997, and it's about a killer snowman. In fact, it's about a serial killer named Jack Frost. Like, his name is actually Jack Frost before he becomes a snowman. Yeah.
You being serious right now?
Well, he's being transported to his execution, and the truck that's transporting him crashes into a genetic research truck. Toxic waste gets all over the place, and it mixes with him and the snow, and voila, we got a serial killer snowman named Jack Frost.
Sounds plausible.
It's kind of like Chucky in Child's Play, but it's about 100 times more ridiculous. So if you don't like stupid movies that are intentionally stupid, this one's probably not for you.
Stupid is as stupid does, sir.
But for anyone with a sense of humor, this is a great time. Hell, the town is even called Snow Mountain for Christmas sake. See what I did there? Like Christmas sake? Okay.
Oh, good Lord.
Shannon Elizabeth stars in this as well. It's one of her first movie roles, and it's one that I watch every couple of years, and it never seems to get old. There actually is a sequel to this, but I've never really been brave enough to watch it.
That's probably wise.
Now I'm gonna throw out a bonus pick as well, because there's another movie that I feel is equally as stupid and silly as Jack Frost, and I'm talking about 2022's The Mean One, featuring Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton. It's a spoof on The Grinch, and while I'm not a big fan of all these public domain character movies popping up all over the place, this one I got a kick out of. They do a great job of blending elements and verbiage from Dr. Seuss's Grinch story and making it fit the comical narrative. They can't and don't ever actually say the name The Grinch, but there's a scene in the bar that was so idiotic that it had me laughing hysterically. They use like a play on words. Just watch it, it's really funny. It goes perfect with Jack Frost. They're both dumb movies, but they're both a ton of fun, and they're perfect to watch for Christmas. Now, coming in at number 10 is a film that I'm definitely going to get some flack for, putting it this far down on the list. It's one that usually ends up near the top of most people's Christmas horror lists. It's a film that a lot of people even consider it one of the greatest slasher films of all time. If you haven't guessed it by now, I'm talking about 1974's Black Christmas. I'm not really sure what it is about this movie that's just never really resonated with me as well as it has for others. Don't get me wrong, it is not a bad movie by any means, and I still have it on my list, but I gotta say, I have probably fallen asleep watching this movie more times than I care to mention.
Wake up already!
The obscene phone calls always seem to make me laugh a little more than they creep me out. It does have all the Christmas vibes going on, and it has its creepy moments as well. It's actually directed by Bob Clark, who coincidentally directed A Christmas Story, which is probably one of the greatest well-known Christmas movies of all time.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I mean, it's on repeat on television every Christmas.
Hold up.
Now, I'm gonna get even more heat for saying this one, but hot take, I actually enjoy the 2006 remake better than the original.
What? Now you talking crazy, boy.
The kills are better and more fun in my opinion. All the Christmas colors really stand out. It's got more of a backstory than the original, where we never really found out much about the killer. This one has a cooler ending, and I've always just had more fun watching it than the original. I certainly will say, though, that the 2019 remake with Imogen Poots and Carrie Eloise is by far the worst version of Black Christmas out there. While I don't think it deserves all the crap that it gets, I didn't think it was too bad up until the third act, where, for me, everything fell apart, where it gets all supernatural and everything. The one thing I did like about that one is the look of the killer with the all-black Robin Hood style with the bow and arrow. I kind of like that. For me, I would stick with either the original or the 2006 remake. But no matter which version of Black Christmas that you choose, it's definitely a must-watch for any Christmas horror list. Now, coming in at number 9 is a film that I just saw for the first time this year, and I liked it so much that I had to include it in the list. I'm talking about 2023's The Sacrifice Game. It takes place in the 70s and starts out feeling like it's going to be another trashy grindhouse throwback, but it quickly turns into much, much more. A band of 4 misfits known as the Christmas Killers are on the loose going on a killing spree. In a nearby boarding school for girls, all but 2 of them leave with their families to go home for Christmas break, and these 2 are left alone in the school with their teacher when, of course, the killers come a-knocking. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil the film, and I feel like the best way to go in is to go in completely blind like I did. This film goes in a completely different direction than you expect than from what it appears in the beginning. It has some great acting performances, namely one from Georgia Akin, who plays Clara, one of the girls. I believe she was only 16 when she shot this film, but she is something special. She truly shines here, and I would keep an eye on her. I feel like she definitely has a bright future ahead. This film has a unique story that keeps you guessing and leads up to an awesome final act. I think this one makes a great entry to the list because it's got something a bit different than all the other ones do, and I will definitely be making this one a regular watch every year for the holidays.
Where are you headed?
Home for the holidays.
At number 8, we have A Cadaver Christmas from 2011. Now this is a micro-budget gem that barely ever gets talked about. From what I understand, they spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000 to $10,000 to make this, which is like nothing.
You know, I'll take it. I mean...
But you'd never know because it's really well done. It's got that dirty grindhouse feel to it, and it looks great considering what they had to work with. So a janitor, covered in blood, walks into a bar on Christmas.
I've heard that one before.
That's actually not the start of a joke. It's how the movie actually begins. There's a bartender, a drunk guy, a janitor, and a cop, and they all team up to fight off a horde of zombies. Or cadavers. Apparently there's been an outbreak of some sort at the local university, and they all head there with the janitor leading the charge. Now, he's kind of like a scrawnier version of Bruce Campbell's Ash from Evil Dead, and he plays the badass role pretty well, and rather comically. Again, this is a no-budget indie film, and it's played for laughs. It never takes itself too seriously, so in the beginning, you might be tempted to turn it off. My recommendation, though, don't.
Well, okay, if you say so.
This movie goes hard, it's got great practical effects, the characters are funny, and it's got Christmas stuff everywhere. And if you like trauma films, this one will be right up your alley. It's also the only zombie film on my list, so if you're looking for more of those, there's also Anna and the Apocalypse. Just throwing that out there. It's another recommendation. It's actually a Christmas zombie musical. I couldn't really get into it, but a lot of people do like that one, so there's a bonus pick for you as well. At number 7, we have 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night. Now, this one caused quite the stir when it came out because of the way Santa was portrayed as this psychotic killer, even though other films before it had done the same thing with Christmas Evil and Tales from the Crypt, to name a couple. By the way, there's 2 other bonus recommendations for you.
That's very thoughtful, thank you.
Silent Night, Deadly Night starts off with a young boy named Billy and his baby brother Ricky, who witnessed their family being murdered by a crazed man dressed as Santa Claus. Billy and his brother are sent to an orphanage where they're raised by nuns who don't necessarily treat Billy that well.
Those nuns are so pushy.
When Billy gets to be 18, they get him a job in a toy store, and a number of things he sees start to bring back all the bad memories from his childhood. Essentially, it's a movie about PTSD and how Billy is affected by all of these things. When he's asked to put on a Santa suit for the store, it triggers all the rage inside of him, and he goes on a mass killing spree dressed as Santa Claus, not unlike the man that killed his family in the beginning. This movie is violent, it's trashy, and it's got some great kills. Mainly my favorite one, which features deer antlers, and Robert Brian Patrick has become absolutely iconic in the horror community for this role as Billy. It doesn't get any more Christmas than Silent Night, Deadly Night, and this movie also spawned some sequels, some better than others.
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
As well as the loose remake from 2011, Silent Night, featuring Malcolm McDowell. And there's also a brand new one about to hit theaters this December 2025, a remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. So you have lots of options to choose from. It's a great pick and one you gotta watch every year at Christmas.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
In at number 6 is one that I saw for the first time last year, and I absolutely loved it. I'm talking about 2022's Christmas Bloody Christmas. Now, this is basically Terminator Santa Claus, and it's freaking awesome.
Trust me.
The plot centers around the fact that the government has, for whatever reason, created a line of bionic Santa Claus robots. And something goes wrong, of course, and they all get recalled except for one in a small town shop window. This one goes completely haywire, and it's Robot Killer Santa out to destroy everything in its path. The lead character, Tori, owns this sick record store, and in the beginning there's this long dialogue with her and her co-worker friend, Robbie. It's like a conversation that I might have with friends, about metal and horror movies. It just felt so familiar. But I will say, if you are offended by foul language and excessive violence and gore, you probably should skip this movie.
You know what? It's their loss.
The colors are super oversaturated and really pop. I love the look of everything in this film. It basically looks like Christmas threw up all over the place. It's crude, it's super violent, And it's actually quite terrifying when this killer Santa is out to get everyone. Now again, this one might not be for everyone, but in my book, this is one sick Christmas flick. Coming in at number 5 is the all-time Christmas classic, Gremlins. How you doing, Gizmo?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Written by Chris Columbus, directed by Joe Dante, and executive produced by Steven Spielberg. I mean, talk about the cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
You got the cast with Phoebe Cates, Corey Feldman, Zach Galligan. If you haven't seen Gremlins by now, you must be living under a rock. But in case you haven't, it starts out with this inventor guy who creates these gadgets that he thinks are revolutionary, but really aren't, and usually result in malfunctions and failures.
What's this button over?
No, don't push that.
He goes to Chinatown looking for a gift for his son Billy, and he finds this small furry creature called a mogwai, which is actually demon in Cantonese, so that's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, you think?
And he wants the shopkeeper to sell him this, but shopkeeper refuses under no circumstances. But the grandson of the shopkeeper sells it to him on the side in the back alley. But he gives him 3 distinct rules to follow. Keep him away from bright lights, don't get him wet, and most important, don't feed them after midnight.
This is gonna end badly, isn't it?
Naturally, the rules are broken, and the cute, lovable mogwai, affectionately named Gizmo, begins to multiply, popping out several other mogwais. Now, these ones are a bit more devilish, and they trick Billy and his friend into feeding them after midnight because they changed the clock around, and they think it's before midnight, and at that point, chaos ensues, all hell breaks loose. They become these pod cocoon-like things which end up sprouting out the gremlins, and these evil creatures take over the town, dispatching everyone in their sight while being hilarious at the same time. One of my favorite scenes is the awful Mrs. Deagle getting what's coming to her when they hijack her chairlift, and it sends her flying at breakneck speed up the stairs and right out the window into the snow. Trust me, she had it coming.
She sure did, didn't she?
Gremlins is a straight-up Christmas movie that just so happens to also be a horror movie. My only gripe with this movie is that it just takes a really long time to get going. It's literally an hour into the film when the gremlins start doing their gremlin things. So it's a little slow to get going. But that's my only gripe with it. It is a perfect Christmas movie. Now, there's apparently a remake in the works, I believe, for 2026. I'm not really on board with this. The effects in Gremlins, the original, were out of this world. They still hold up today. I don't think that there is any reason to remake this movie. At this point, I'm just ranting, but probably going to watch it anyway.
Of course you are.
At number 4, I chose a movie that I saw for the first time this year again, and I absolutely love this movie. It is called There's Something in the Barn, and it came out in 2023. It's actually really similar to the plot of Gremlins, but this one doubles down on the comedy. An American family has recently relocated to Norway when they inherit a home in the country from a distant uncle who dies mysteriously.
I love a good mystery.
The son, Lucas, meets this museum owner in the town. He's this silly guy who tells Lucas all about the folklore behind barn elves. And these barn elves make their homes in people's barns in the country, and they can be quite dangerous if 3 rules are not followed. Sound familiar?
Gremlins.
Of course, then, Lucas discovers that his family's property has a barn, and a barn elf that lives in it. Lucas makes friends with the barn elf. He seems to be this friendly, harmless, little timid elf. But when Lucas tries to explain to his family the rules that must be followed, they think he's crazy. Now, the rules are no bright lights, no loud noises, and no major changes to the property. And of course, the first thing they do is break all the rules.
Why wouldn't they?
The mom and dad say they want to turn the barn into a bed and breakfast. They put up all these loud, flashy Christmas decorations, which the elf doesn't like. And then they throw this rowdy party with a bunch of drunk people from town inside the barn. And of course, this really pisses off that elf.
What would you think would happen?
So he summons all his barn elf homies, and the war is on. And it gets bloody.
Ew, that's gross.
Yeah, exactly.
This movie is so Christmassy. It's family friendly too for the younger members of the family. Although there are a handful of F-bombs from the daughter, which really kind of feel out of place to me. Just didn't fit in with the rest of the movie. But it definitely is more of a starter horror movie for the younger family members. There is one single cop lady or sheriff of the town, and she is freaking hilarious.
Positively a riot.
I really like the humor in this. It has some great energy, and it has some decent gore as well. Also, drunk barn elves. That's all I'm going to say. In the number 3 spot, we have the fan favorite, Krampus. Now, this one always ends up at the top of most people's Christmas horror lists, and there's a good reason for it. Now, along with the last movie I mentioned, this also would be a great starter movie, starter horror movie for the younger members of the family. It's light on the gore and the scares, but don't let that deter you because this movie kicks ass.
Right on, brother.
It came out in 2015, and it's directed by Michael Dougherty, who brought us the classic Halloween anthology, Trick or Treat. Now, it's basically National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation if it had a giant demonic goat creature on the loose.
Yikes. That sounds scary.
Toni Collette and Adam Scott star along with David Koechner, known best for playing Todd Packer in The Office. His character reminds me an awful lot of Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation.
You serious, Clark? Dinner was full!
The late Conchata Ferrell is hilarious in this as well. A great cast headed up by MJ Anthony, who plays young Max. And Max is just tired of all the infighting in his family. And when he gets embarrassed by his cousins at dinner, he ends up getting so upset that he rips up his letter to Santa and throws it out the window. And being that Max is the only one seemingly in his family that still has the Christmas spirit, it's when he loses the Christmas spirit, that's when the demon Krampus is summoned and all hell begins to break loose. It follows the Norwegian folklore story of Krampus, the antithesis of Santa Claus, who comes to delve out punishment and suffering instead of presents and good cheer. Doesn't really sound that pleasant to me.
Unless, of course, you're into that sort of thing.
It's a story of survival and what pushes this dysfunctional family to come together and save each other from their impending doom. It may be the perfect Christmas horror movie as it's got all the spooky stuff, lots of action, and a ton of heart. It really centers on the family element and what it means to truly believe in the Christmas spirit. Krampus always makes my yearly watch list, and I was so happy to share it with my son for the first time this year, and he's slowly but surely getting into horror movies, and he absolutely loved it.
It's Christmas. Nothing bad's gonna happen on Christmas.
Coming in at number 2, our runner-up is P2 from 2007. Now, I've never understood all the negative flack that this movie has gotten because not only is this one of my favorite Christmas horror movies, it's actually one of my favorite all-time horror movies. Rachel Nichols plays Angela, an overworked businesswoman staying late on Christmas Eve who's about to leave the office, but she becomes trapped inside the parking garage by a deranged security guard named Thomas, who, might I add, is played masterfully by Wes Bentley. Thomas is one of my favorite horror villains of all time, and Wes Bentley hit this one out of the park.
Home run!
Ooh!
He's just so unhinged and deranged and scary. You really want to see him get his in the end. And Rachel Nichols is great in this as well. Angela puts up a hell of a fight, and honestly, I think she is one of the most underrated final girls. This movie is a great cat and mouse game of survival, and it plays on how creepy and quiet parking garages can be, especially at nighttime. It is intense, it is balls to the wall, and it is a great pick to watch during the Christmas season. Now, as a bonus pick, I do want to mention that I've always felt that P2 pairs really well with another film that it's kind of similar to, and this one is ATM from 2012, where some office employees end up at an ATM on the way home after their corporate Christmas party. They get trapped inside this little enclosed ATM building where they are stalked by this deranged killer. It's another underrated gem that doesn't get talked about enough in my opinion, and it would be a perfect one to watch as a double feature right alongside P2. And finally, coming in at our number one spot is my absolute favorite Christmas horror film of all time from 2015. It is A Christmas Horror Story. Now, I love horror anthologies, and this one is no exception. It starts out with a radio DJ played by William Shatner, who is doing his radio show and is 3 sheets to the wind. He becomes increasingly more drunk every time we cut back and forth to him. There's 4 stories that are featured, including a ghostly tale of some kids who are investigating a murder that happened to 2 students in their school 1 year ago. They break into the school, they get trapped in the basement of this school, and all kinds of freaky stuff starts happening. We also have a story about a family going to cut down their Christmas tree, but what they bring home besides the tree and their son is something else, because their son is all of a sudden not acting normal.
What does normal mean anyway?
Then there's the story about a family who are hunted by Krampus. That's got some really cool scenes that end up in an old church. And finally, a fun little bit with Santa Claus, who discovers that his elves have all turned into zombies. So it is Santa Claus versus zombie elves, and that culminates in the big final battle with Santa versus Krampus, who looks like this giant muscle-bound pro wrestler. It is an epic death match with badass Santa versus Krampus. Now, this anthology has a little bit of something for everybody. It's fast-paced, it is so much fun, and let me tell you, the ending of this thing, the first time I saw the ending, it hit me just about as hard as when I saw John Kramer get off the floor in the first Saw film for the first time. It is an awesome ending. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say much else, but you definitely got to check out A Christmas Horror Story. If you've never seen it before, again, it's one of those that doesn't get enough credit. It doesn't get talked about as much as it should, but it is my absolute favorite Christmas horror movie. I'd even go so far as to say it is the Christmas equivalent to Trick or Treat, and that's why it ends up at the number one spot on my list. So that about does it for my 13 Sleighs of Christmas. This list was really hard to come up with because there are so many good Christmas horror movies out there. A couple other honorable mentions that are really good. I really enjoy them, but they just didn't quite make the list. Would be Santa's Sleigh featuring Bill Goldberg, Rare Exports, and Await Further Instructions. So there's a few extras in case you're feeling ambitious, but I do sincerely hope that there was something on this list that you might not have seen before, or even one that you haven't seen in a long time that you might want to just go back and check it out again. These are my favorite, my personal picks for the best Christmas horror movies, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please take the time and like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It would help the channel grow and get this video seen by a lot more people. I would greatly appreciate your support. And again, I thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this video. And until next time, keep it spooky. And don't drink too much hot chocolate. It could be bad, you know. Get a tummy ache and end up in the bathroom. Trust me, I've been there. Cheers! Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, shit.